again. I never split the Tanya. I shouldn't have stopped. I don't know why I did. Anyway, we're still in the same chumrah. Sorry. There's no reason to stop it. Okay. Continuing right along. So here we go. So those are the 4 shades of what we have. Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, let's learn inside. Adam and man, if a person has a se'es, that is name 1 of the kind of white that we have here. Okay? Or a sapachas. Sapachas means an offshoot of the earlier shade. So shade, se'es is name 1, title 1 to the first kind of a shade. With a sapachas means there's also a second tier of that one. So snow white together with the second tier, which is whitewash. Oy baheres, or you also have baheres, which is the wool, like white of wool, with its second shade, which is like the membrane of an egg. And you have it in your skin. So the guy breaks out. He has an ailment. He has this thing on his skin. He comes to the doctor, comes to the dermatologist, but not a real dermatologist, the kohen dermatologist, the spiritual one. The nega tzaras as a lesion of tzaras. That's the Hebrew name for leprosy in general. It's called tzaras. That's leprosy. And you bring the guy, come to the kohen. Here's the hours that the kohen's working, and we're going to come to the kohen, or to one of his sons. He's going to come to Aaron HaKohen, to the high priest. Mr. High Priest, please tell me, am I impure? Am I not impure? What's going on? What's going on with me? I have these white stuff on me. Is this a spiritual element, or is it maybe I'm breaking out with some other kind of, God forbid, some other kind of rash? Or to any of his sons. But you got to go. We see here that you must go to a kohen. One of the reasons I remember correctly, I heard for this, is kohanim are very kind people, and will make sure not to call you out on it unless you for sure have it. So the kohen is the ruler, will be the decider if you have leprosy or not. And the kohen goes, he takes his magnifying glass or not, he just looks. No, it doesn't take a magnifying glass, I'm kidding about that. He goes and he looks over, and he puts on his gloves, whatever. He looks ba'ar habasar, he looks at the skin, he looks at your skin. V'seyar v'nega hafach lavan, and he sees, in the lesion, in this leprosy, in the lesion, there is a white here that turned white. It's not that you were an old man or you had, sorry, I was making faces here. I'm sorry, I misspoke over there. It's not that you had white hair naturally, but I'm trying to make a point. That's why I said it. The point I'm trying to make is that you had black hair there before. If you had white hair before, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. You don't have leprosy. It's just that you had white hair before. But if you had a black hair before, and in that lesion, in that mark of lesion, what do you have there? It turned white. The white hair turned white. Oh no, now we're in trouble. And now, besides the white hair, it also looks deeper. So Rashi tells us, interesting, if you match up a light color and a dark color, the light color always looks like it's lower down, even though it's not really lower down, it just looks lower down. The white color on the skin looks like it's lower down. That's the way colors work. Naga tzaras, who it is tzaras. You got tzaras. You have a problem. You have leprosy. And the kohen will see it, and he'll say, "Mister, I'm very sorry to write down your medical situation, but it was a black hair either that turned white, and the white looks shallower than the rest of the thing. You have a problem, Mister. You are tummy, Mister. You're tummy. I have to let you know that you're tummy. The kohen is going to be like the medical doctor here, kind of take that position and let him know that he's tummy. But what happens? What happens if there's a white spot, in his skin, but it doesn't look deeper? The white doesn't look that, not for some reason. Rashi actually writes here, he doesn't know what it means. Actually, Rashi, I don't know what that Rashi writes right here. If you see inside, he says, I don't know what the meaning is. But he writes the white for some reason doesn't look like it's deeper. Maybe it means, I'm just gonna make something up, or maybe it means it's like a darker white that doesn't look like it's not the right shade. And also the black here is black, it never turned white. So now the kohen's not sure. He's like, I don't know. It doesn't have the white hair. It doesn't give away the telltale signs. Like the black hair turned white. That's it. I know you're impure. Or you got a white that's clearly white. He's not sure. He doesn't know. Doesn't have the white hair. So what does the kohen do? And here's the famous quarantine. This is where quarantine comes from. He quarantines the guy. We had quarantine already in the Torah back then. and they quarantine him, right? We're not sure if you have corona. We got to quarantine. We got to make sure. We got to quarantine, make sure that you don't have leprosy. And therefore, I don't know, the Kohen doesn't know. They put him to they have the quarantine hotels today. If you go to certain places, if you want to go to Canada, you get locked up in the hotel for 2 weeks. We're going to see there are some cases which you end up there 2 weeks, actually in our Chumash too. So you lock him up in a quarantine hotel, you put him in a place, and then he's going to look. So the commentators say, if you look every day, you won't see it growing. But if you mark it after a week and you recognize, you'll see a clear change between 1 week and the next, then the Kohen will look. So the Kohen comes back, the Kohen doctor comes back, verse 5, the Kohen sees him on the 7th day, and what's the case? What happened? The lesion, this leprosy mark, stayed exactly the same. But that's a problem. On one hand, the lesion didn't spread, didn't get worse. Okay? Then the Kohen will lock him up for a second days, just like we do today. 14-day quarantine if you have corona. Same thing. I mean, the numbers got actually a little bit less, I think, but it used to be 14 days. 14 days, you're going to lock you up for a second 7 days because we don't know if you have leprosy or not. Now, if it did spread, that's a clear case. If you came 7 days later and now the white blotch spread, done deal. So if you got a white here or you got a white spot that spread after 7 days, we know guarantee the Kohen knows that you have leprosy. But here, if you don't have a black hair turned white, and you don't have, it's not spreading, so the Kohen's got to lock you up for a second day's quarantine. You got to quarantine again for another 7 days in order to see what happens. Now the Kohen comes to examine him, lets him out of the jail or the room where he was locked up, the hotel, whatever, the hotel where he had his quarantining. The Kohen after the second set of 7 days looks at him because it was just everything stayed the same before. So now, if the leprosy became weaker, it's not such a clear anymore lesion anymore, the light faucet and it didn't spread. The Kohen says, Mister, you are pure. Out of here. You get out of quarantine. Go back home. You don't need to be a mispachasi. However, go to the mikveh. Even though right now I'm telling you you're not pure, since you were in the quarantine building and we locked you up and we weren't sure, you still got to go to the mikveh, but you don't have to do anything else. You just could leave. We after 2 weeks of quarantining, we know that you're not anymore. You don't have leprosy, and we can let you go. Okay. I hope everyone's following the story. So let's just recap. If you got a black hair turned white, you got leprosy for sure. If after 7 days we locked you don't have a black hair turned white, we're not sure. So what do? We lock you up in a quarantine and we see it spread, then you for sure have tsaras, you for sure have this leprosy here. But if the leprosy got weaker and it didn't spread, now we know after 7 days or the second set of 7 days, we know that you don't have leprosy. Remember, we're going to put you in for if nothing moved from the first to the end of the 7 days, the first quarantine, we lock you up for a second quarantine of 7 days. If after the second week, the leprosy spread, oh no, what happens? The plot thickens. So what happens if they showed it to the Kohen and the Kohen says it got weaker, you're free to go. And the next day, the leprosy starts to spread. So the Kohen already said you're pure. Now you got to run back to the dermatologist Kohen and say, Mr. Kohen, it started spreading after you let me go. But the Kohen looks at it and says, oh my gosh, it's really spreading. It got worse. And the Kohen sees, and the Kohen sees that it spread. The Kohen says, no, I know it got weaker, but it's spreading now. You got tsaras, and you got to do whatever a guy who has tsaras is required to do. You have to bring the birds, sacrifices at the end, and you got to shave your hair off, which we'll learn about, and so on, which are the rules required for a person with leprosy. So that is what is going on over here with the basic laws of leprosy, and the Kohen approaching it and trying to understand it and trying to heal the ailment, trying to discover if the person has it or not. And the Kohen, again, if it's a white hair, right away we know it's leprosy. If there's no white hair, we lock him up for 7 days. If it spread, again, we know it's leprosy at the end of the first week of quarantining. If it didn't spread, it stayed put. We lock him up for a second week. If it got dimmer, we say he's pure. If it grew, he's for sure impure. But if it got dimmer, we say he's pure. And then he comes back the next day and says, no, it grew again, then we say you're for sure impure and you have leprosy. And those are the basics. We're not done yet. We have to keep on going. Another kind of leprosy. What's another method to know if a person has leprosy besides here and besides it growing? And this is going to be a third option of how we could clearly identify, examine him, and know that he has leprosy even without the hair and without it expanding. The Kohen sees him, and behold, Seyas Levana Ba'or, the Hafcha Seir Lavan, Umichias Basar Chai Baseis. Either, obviously, if there's a white hair, which we spoke about before, or there is healthy skin inside it. So he has, for somehow, inside this unhealthy blotch, inside it, this white blotch, there's healthy skin inside it. Ira, does this sound like medical school to you over here? We're discovering these things here. So inside this white blotch, you have some healthy skin, like a weird thing. In the middle of the thing, you have healthy skin inside of it. Now you might say, oh, you got healthy skin. I mean, if you got a black hair, you're good, and it's not white. But if you have healthy skin, then you're for sure good, because this is not regular stuff. This is not if it would be a leprosy condition, you'd have full. He says, no, you got leprosy. You probably just have the leprosy went under your skin, so you see healthy skin in the middle, but there's pus. It's a full leprosy thing. It's just going under the skin, this leprosy, and therefore they only see the sides of it, but the middle between the bad sides, between the sick leprosy lesion that's on you, you got healthy skin in the middle, so it's just, but under there's pus, it's just you don't see it. That's what he says, verse 11. Then that shows that you have leprosy. Tsaras neshedas, it's an old tsaras. Somehow your healthy skin grew on top of it. You maybe didn't catch it right away, and you started to have your healthy skin grow, but under the healthy skin, you still got your leprosy situation going on over there. The Timah Kohen, the Kohen says you are impure. It's another clear indicator that you're impure. If you have healthy skin inside a leprosy thing, that's another clear indicator that you have a person with leprosy. So far we have here, black hair turned white. We have leprosy tracking it, that we see it continuously spreading, and also a healthy skin inside a lesion. We know all those cases. We don't have to lock you up if you have healthy skin in the middle. This is another clear indicator. You for sure have leprosy. Tell me who you're impure. In verse 12. Now here comes a funny case. This guy had such a bad condition, seemingly of leprosy, that it spread and it spread and it spread and it spread and it literally covered his whole body. Imagine, God forbid, a guy with a rash that covers the entire body. This was like contagious like anything. And he got this whole thing everywhere, his whole skin. Covered his whole skin everywhere. He got this crazy rash. From his head to his feet. Wherever the Kohen looks, he sees that this guy has leprosy. Rashi actually says this. From here we see the Kohen has to be able to see. You can't be blind in one eye. Kohen has to have both his eyes. He has to be able to see the full person and with both eyes. And he sees, and the guy has leprosy from head to toe. Now, what would you say if I asked you? You would say, for sure he's impure. No, the Torah always has a twist. The Kohen looks, as the Kohen looks, and everywhere there's leprosy everywhere. And the Kohen says, you're clean, you're good. Hafach lav and Tarahu, he has turned completely white. This guy who turned white, he's completely pure. Now, it's a funny thing. If I remember correctly, one of the reasons behind this is it sounds ridiculous. It should be the opposite. Originally, you're saying the more it spreads, it shows he's impure. Here, the whole guy's completely covered. How could it be? And I think one of the reasons is there's no Jew that's completely impure. Every person has some purity inside them. So if a guy has tsaras from head to toe, it's obviously not tsaras. It can't be that it must have some other condition, God forbid. I don't know, chicken pox or whatever, that is literally covered everywhere from head to toe. It must be something else. It's not this leprosy that we're talking about here, because if it's a full body leprosy, actually all of a sudden the guy, interestingly, is going to be pure. Verse 14. However, the second the guy all of a sudden has some healthy skin grow, because now he's not fully leprosy, all of a sudden some healthy skin starts coming back, all of a sudden he's going to become a leper. Actually, he doesn't want to get healthy skin, because now all of a sudden he becomes a leper. because now he's not fully covered from head to toe and he's able to become a leper. So as long as you're covered from head to toe in leprosy, we don't consider you to have tzaras. It's not considered to be leprosy. The second you start growing a little bit of healthy skin, all of a sudden you're not 100%, you're only 99% leprosy. All of a sudden you could become impure. Rashi here brings another interesting idea about, because there's going to be a size that the leprosy has to go. So what happens if a person has it on the tip of a finger? It's a little bit of a problem because the kohen can't really see it, that it's big enough, because it could be on two different sides. Your eyes can't see two sides of the finger at one time. And therefore he can't call the leprosy, but just because he's not able to see the whole thing at one time. And he's actually pure. If he gets it on the tip, there's 24 different limb tips that a person has, that it's possible for the leprosy to grow, and he actually won't be impure because it's not possible for the kohen to see the whole thing at one time. But if somehow he gets a little fatty, and then the leprosy now is able to see, let's say the tip of the finger becomes very fatty, and you're able to see enough in one shot to make him impure, then the guy is impure. So the kohen has to be able to see enough of the leprosy at one time. It's an interesting rule in order to call the guy impure. Again, this is not just a physical element, it's a spiritual element. So we have all these interesting regulations that involve with actually, are you sick or not, with what we're talking about. The kohen will then see the healthy skin that's now growing in this person that's complete of leprosy. Now he has healthy skin. With Tima, the kohen is going to say you're tummy, because now you're only 99% leprosy. You got a little bit of healthy skin. And this must be leprosy because you're not 100% covered, you're 99% covered, this looks like leprosy, and now we have to call you a leper, and you've got to go through the procedure to purify yourself, to shave all your hair, whatever, and bring the birds that you need to bring to remedy yourself for this ailment. Or the normal going flesh turns white again, so the guy, I guess, was all white, got a little bit of skin, healthy skin. Kohen says your tummy. Now that healthy skin went back to white. Then you say, look, I got no healthy skin. I'm all white now. You come to the kohen, verse 17, and the kohen looks at it. He says, now you're all white again because that little piece of healthy skin you had turned back white. The kohen says you're pure. So the leprosy is pure, and that's it. You don't have it. Finally, the last case in our medical class today, spiritual medical class today that we're talking about, we're going to talk about shchin. What happens if the guy got a wound, right? He got a wound, he got a black and blue mark or something, And leprosy comes to where the black and blue mark is. The problem is that the white color that we keep on talking about, wool or snow, membrane of an egg, or the whitewash in the temple, is not true anymore because you're mixing two colors. You're mixing the reddish from the blood wound that you had, and you're mixing white. So what happens? Who knows what color that is? I was painting with the family. We had a paint night the other day. What color is it when you mix white and red together? What color do you get?
Pink.
Pink. Oh, Evan, excellent. So you get pink. I just discovered this a few days ago. So, Ubasar, verse 18. Ubasar kiya boy be'or shchin. If his skin has shchin, he got a wound, he got a fight, he got a punch, he got a pinch, whatever he got has a wound that's red. V'nirpa, and it healed. Okay, so I guess the wound healed. But now you left over where the wound was, you got what looks like, you're not sure, is this a scar from my wound? Or is this leprosy? What do I got? I'm not sure. So not just go to the dermatologist or the foot doctor, podiatrist, if it's on your foot, you got to go to the kohen. You go to Ira, and Ira says, I'm not sure. You got to consult. Let me give you a medicine thing here. Go to the kohen and make sure. Let me see what you got. I don't know if it's a wart or whatever. It might be leprosy that you have on your foot. I don't know if it's your bunions or whatever. It might be leprosy. Verse 19. And in the place, verse 19, where the wound was, say Slavana, there's a white spot over there. Or Baharis, or a Baharis, or Baharis Lavana Adam Demes. White and red, meaning pink. That's the pink color, Lavana Adam Demes. And he goes to the kohen, and he says, Mister, I see pink, but it was a red wound before, and now it mixed with white, so maybe it's not the white color, maybe it's, Mr. kohen, tell me, what do I have? Is this just the outcome of my wound, or is this leprosy? The kohen will look, take a good look at it, and he says, I gotta see, even though it's pink, but pink is a light color, and compared to darker colors, it's going to look lower down, like I explained in the beginning of the class. Rashi explained to us that a lighter color, it's still lighter, and lighter color looks less than the darker color. And let's say it had a white hair, that's a giveaway, right? If a black hair turned white, Kayin says it's for sure taras, bashchin paracha. It just happened that you got a lesion on your wound. That's what happened, and you're really impure. We know for sure because the black hair turned white, and it looks lower down on the skin. Okay, so we know that you have it's all the telltale signs of, even though it's right on top of your wound, but it has all the telltale signs of leprosy. But the Kohen looks at it, he says, "Oh, no white here," and the coloring does not look lower by the shade, does not make it look like it's lower down. And we see as it starts, like getting dimmer, it's not such a strong coloring. And the Kohen puts him into quarantine, locks him up, puts him into quarantine for 7 days. And then after 7 days, he looks. So what are the signs? In if it started spreading during quarantine, okay, again, telltale sign. 7 days later, it's spreading. This is not a wound left over the wound. This is leprosy, and you have leprosy. But if it stayed the same and it didn't spread, then he says it didn't spread. You don't have the white hair. Nah, you just got a medical issue here. You just got to go to the dermatologist. You have inflammation. The Kohen says you are clean, my friend, and you do not need any special purification process from the Kohen. That is, my friends, we're going to still learn a lot more, but that is the basics for fascinating class on what makes a woman impure from the blood between a boy and a girl, and also what makes a person impure from leprosy, a thing we don't have today. Any questions or comments before we have to go?
Quick question.
Yes.
Why is it flow from the birth to women impurity to the skin irritations? Like,
so I'm going to do a guess here, but I think to me it seems obvious that we're learning about what makes the body impure. All the things that we're learning all about all impurities. We ended last week's Parsha Shmini, talking about what animals we eat are unclean and make us unclean if they fall in the oven. Remember at the end of last week's Chumash. Then we started talking about what else makes a person impure. If having a baby makes a person, the blood, and then we talk about also what makes a person impure is different leprosy. So we're talking about all the conditions that can make it. We first spoke about all the conditions that make an animal kosher, non-kosher, animal impure and pure, and now we're talking about all the conditions that make a human being pure and impure.
And does this still happen?
What? The leprosy? No, we don't have leprosy today anymore. And I believe the reason is that we're not, when your body gets so immune to certain stuff that it doesn't even affect you anymore. So we don't have the sensitivity today anymore, the holiness, that these negative things would even show up on us because of our the lowliness of the world, the lowliness of our nation, is that we're immune to it, because I guess you call that immune because we've had so much of it. So if we go back to Mashiach will come and we'll come back to purity, we'll probably have it once again.
Is there like a different form, maybe? Like the rabbis talk about different aspects of Taras where it's like more spiritual, maybe that, because how does it just disappear? You know what I mean?
I'm telling you, after, I believe that's the answer that's given. Yes. I have to go to Lakewood now to pick up the kids. No, I have to go. I'm driving the car now to pick up the kids from Lakewood. I'm coming upstairs now. I got Gregory. You know what? I don't think we have it anymore. I think that's a short answer. We don't have it today anymore. Ira, yes. No.